You most likely wouldn't repeat the details of your design projects from project to project, line for line. You probably never do that. But when it comes to marketing your design firm, actually sounding like a broken record, repeating yourself over and over and over again can actually set you up for success. This week, we're talking about repetition in your marketing. Stay tuned. Giving architects and landscape architects the tools and strategies to be seen, heard, and valued in the marketplace, and telling the stories of leaders building thriving design firms and attracting their ideal clients. This is From Architecture to Profitecture. I'm your host, Jay Krakowski. Let's get started. Fellow and future Profitex, hello, how are you? Welcome to this week's show, all about marketing like a broken record. Actually, Broken Record Marketing sounds like a good company name for a marketing agency. But I digress. Yes, this week we're talking about repetition, why it's so important to actually repeat yourself as you create social media posts, as you come up with the messaging for your website, or in just how you speak to potential clients and colleagues and consultants about who you serve and how you serve them. The repetition is actually your friend in this case. And again, while you certainly wouldn't do that on a design project. Now you can take construction details and repeat them, but line for line, the forms that we create don't often translate from project site to project site or client to client. But this week I want to talk about some strategies for repeating yourself, for sounding like a broken record, that you can start to incorporate into your firm's marketing plan, your firm's marketing strategy. And at the root of this, though, I also want to talk about the elements that you have to have right, the elements that you have to have in place to repeat. Because if you're repeating marketing that's falling flat, it's wasting your time, and it's not engaging your potential ideal clients. So let's start with a few strategies here for repeating yourself, and then we'll get into the elements that I think you really need to have nailed down to make your marketing effective. The first thing that you should be repeating, whether that's on a monthly or weekly or daily basis, depending on how you market your design firm, is to constantly be asking your audience, your online audience. That goes for Instagram posts, that goes for shorter form feeds like TikTok or stories or YouTube shorts, what have you. You need to always be asking your online audience not just what they want to hear, not just asking for content ideas, although you can do that if you're short on ideas, but continuously ask them to engage. You need to tell them what to do. When you put up a picture of that project that you've just completed, or during a framing walkthrough, pose questions to your potential clients. Start to allow them to see how your brain works, but start to get feedback from them. Whether that's, do you like what we've done here? Do you like this detail? What would you change? Do you have this in your home? How would you add this into your business's site to make things work better? You need to get in the habit of asking your audience to engage with you. You can't just be putting out content and expect the DMs to fly in and RFPs to magically show up on your door. You need to be asking for that engagement in any marketing that you do. It's certainly harder when you think about print ads. It's next to impossible in print ads. The ask there is your phone number and your email address. With social media and with online marketing, we have such a huge opportunity to be asking questions, to be pulling them into your world, to help them understand how you work and how you can potentially help them. So you need to be asking them consistently. And again, that goes especially so if you feel like you're short on content. If you don't know what to say, well, ask for help. Ask for help. You can ask your colleagues too, but certainly be asking anyone that you put out content to. And every single post should have some sort of call to action. CTA, as they call it. Whether that's leave a comment below, whether that's drop me a DM if you want to talk about your project, or your commenting on you're looking for a specific engagement on the post itself. What do you like about this? What don't you like about this? Do you have this in your home? How can you incorporate this into your business? And the idea of having those open-ended questions is important too. You can't just say, check out our website, check out our website, check out our website. Having more open-ended questions also gets their brain, your audience's brain going, to show that you're thinking a little bit ahead, or that you're thinking outside the box, or that you're thinking differently, whatever it is. Be sure to incorporate open-ended questions into those CTAs. Again, not just call us or visit our website, as I see all too often, or most of the time I don't see any, actually. I don't see any call to action in a lot of online marketing from design firms. It's just a huge missed opportunity. So then the second, once you've got content and you're putting it out there, is to lean into what your audience likes. Lean into what they like. Now, that's not one aspect of that is the content itself. Do you have a certain feature on Mondays or Thursday? You have a day dedicated to a certain type of post or a certain question or a certain live stream. That's great. And if those are resonating, if you're getting engagement on that, don't stop. You need to lean in if the format is working. Again, whether that's a live stream or a photo or polls on Instagram stories or whatever it is, if you're getting engagement for a certain format, you need to lean into that. Even if it's your first live stream that you've tried and you're either terrified or you hate it, hate being on camera, but it works, that's usually a sign that's something that you need to lean into. If there is hesitation or there's fear there and it's working, that usually means that's something you need to push into. You need to lean into and ask for help with that. Heck, DM me if you want help with going live or anything else marketing wise. But often where there's a hesitation there, it's usually a sign of something you need to lean into. So format, yes, but also the message. If there are certain types of photos or photos of certain details or elements or questions that you're asking about that, if certain content itself is resonating, if you're getting more engagement, whether that's likes or comments or calls for proposals, whatever it is, you need to be leaning into that. You need to always be assessing how your marketing is doing, not just scheduling content in some third-party scheduler and just kind of crossing your fingers and hoping that it works. You need to understand what's working and what's not, and play to your strength there. Play to what's resonating with those potential clients and your audience at large. The third strategy I want to talk about is repurposing content that has worked in the past. So if you've been asking your audience and you're getting engagement, and then you're focusing on what's working and you're doing more of that, well, there's no sense in having to reinvent the wheel each and every week, each and every month, each and every post. You can certainly repurpose. And this podcast is one example of it. Can I do a better job of repurposing? Absolutely. It's in my 2021 plans. But this starts as a live stream, then it goes to YouTube, and it goes to all the podcast outlets as well. One thing that I'm looking to work on, and that you could think about as well, is whether you do a video or you do an audio clip, or you're a guest on someone else's podcast, is can you pull an audio clip and upload that to, say, an Instagram post? Can you take a video clip and make a TikTok out of it? Can you take audio or video and start to make text posts? Can you turn those into blog posts, the full transcript? Or can you take these one-liners that you think are poignant, or that tell your story as a designer, as a person in a certain part of the world or certain state of the country here, a certain city, or just anything that resonates with you, that you feel resonate with the audience, you can turn that into either a text post or a blog post, anything like that. There's so many ways to repurpose content these days. It's just, the sky's the limit. I know Gary Vaynerchuk talks about having one video turn into 87 or 97 pieces of content. And he wrote a whole PDF on it, on how to split this thing up and pepper the internet with it, which you could certainly do if you've got the time and the bandwidth. I don't, but but even if you've got one or two platforms that you like to be on and that you think your potential clients are on, well, there's so many different formats of content that you can put out there. Just pulling one piece of content apart, pull it apart, rehash it, repurpose it. Now, the big thing about this is that you need to be organized. You really need to be organized, and hopefully you've got, at the very least, a virtual assistant to help you with this. But you might be doing this all on your own, as I started out doing. But you need to be, whether that's Dropbox or Google Drive or whatever, having the single piece of content, be it the podcast or the video or the written blog post or the written Medium article, whatever it is, so that you can create these folders and then you can start to break out the content from that, and it's all housed around one piece of content. You really need to be organized so that, let's say you've got a week blitz on kitchen island details, if you're in the residential architecture space, or you're looking at different ways to plant out retention ponds in the landscape field, and you want to spend a week on that. Heck, you want to spend a month on that. I don't know. Get organized so that you've got this bank of content, and maybe once a year you're visiting kitchen details as the holidays approach and the relatively big cooking holidays of Thanksgiving and Christmas approach, and you're dedicating either October or November just to kitchens. That's as a residential architect, that's a fantastic content strategy for a fall month, because people are so focused on gathering and cooking come the end of the year. But don't be afraid to rehash content quarterly. It might even be the same darn post every quarter. Now, would you repeat the same post every other week? No. That can get stale, and people will pick up on that. Online audiences these days are absolutely savvy. They will, as soon as they see the same post, 2 or 3 times in recent memory, it's going to actually have a bad taste in their mouth. Now, that said, especially when you look at something like Instagram, only 3% of your organic audience actually sees your posts anyways, if they're not following you and engaging consistently. So on one hand, I do say you can never post too much content, but at the same time, you don't want to repost the same 4 posts every other week for the entire year. That's not going to serve you or your business, I don't think. But you certainly need to be organized on how you set those up. And then checking back in with the analytics again, checking into what's working, understanding what's working, what's not. If you see engagement on a certain type of post that's falling flat, certain type of content that's falling flat, you may want to come up with a new strategy. It may not be worth your time or your VA's time or your staff's time, marketing staff's time, to keep rehashing stuff that just isn't working. You obviously need to understand what is. That's half the part of running a business, right? Is understanding how your outreach is there. And my mentor, Jim Fortin, when he asked, "What do you do?" he's kind of beating this into my head and all of his students, is you are a marketer first, then you are a practitioner. Because if you can't sell what you do, you're not going to be in business very long. You are a marketer first and foremost, whether you like to think that way or not. When you are in business for yourself or in a partnership or corporation, what have you, and you are steering the ship, you are a marketer first. And that's in any interaction, online or off. So we've got strategies to repeat yourself, to assume the role of the broken record as the firm owner, as the leader in your firm's marketing, what have you. But what all that repetition relies on, and it boils down to, is understanding who you are truly speaking to, who you are trying to engage, and what is the core of that connection. What is the real connection that's being made in bringing potential clients into your world and then signing on the dotted line with those ideal clients. So you definitely want to ask yourself, what is at the core of that engagement? What values are you putting forth in your marketing materials and your marketing message that's resonating? It's not just the colors in your Instagram posts It's not just the layout of your grid. It's not just the fabulous lighting and camera setup and backdrop of your live streams. It's more than that. The reason that clients are signing on with you and your firm is because of the deeper level connection that you are making. And you need to understand what that is. And if you don't, you need to be able to take a step back or get outside input, sit in silence and really understand why are they liking this and not this. Why has this resulted in 4 projects over the last 18 months? Why is this content resulting in that? And really dial in. What are the values that are being that's the biggest thing for me. What values are you putting forth into the world where this connection is truly being made? It might be aesthetics as well, but it can't just be solely aesthetics. It goes into a more emotional level, a deeper emotional level that's resonating there. So be understanding that, and then of course, who is at the core of this engagement? What's the pool of clients that you're trying to attract? What do they stand for? What values do they hold true that you can begin to understand and resonate with? And this gets down into an identity level. Who do they identify with? When you see a lot of commercials, when you see a Red Bull commercial, when you see a Mercedes commercial, yes, Mercedes features the car pretty heavily, but they are Mercedes, Lexus, Acura, whoever. They are appealing to folks at an identity level. It's not just the 0 to 60 speed and the type of brakes and the interior finishes. Well, that's all part of the commercials, I know, but they're appealing to people at an identity level. Red Bull, they're not talking about sugared or aspartame flavored drinks. They're talking about lifestyle. It's all about lifestyle with Red Bull. That's the best example that I like to give. Apple is another great one. They first appealed when they really blew up. They were appealing to the creative that strove to be different. Be different. Remember that campaign? That's really, I think, what set them apart. That they're not just talking about the guts of the computer, the overpriced guts of the computers. I'm on an Apple right now, so what can I say? But they appealed at an identity level, and your marketing needs to do the same. And once you can tap into that, once you can find the identity of the clients that you want to reach and that you really want to work with, that you've had the most success with historically in your design firm, in your projects, that is something that you should just repeat over and over and over, and don't let go. Lean in and don't let go. Because if you found that and you found fulfillment and success with that, well, you are set. But how do you find all that? How do you find out what the messaging is to engage with your potential ideal clients on that deeper identity level? Well, I want to introduce, or rather, I want to encourage you to pencil in a few weeks from now, February 23rd and 24th, beginning at noon Eastern each day. It's going to be a 2-day boot camp positioned to profit, where we're going to dig into these ideas. We're going to dig into the identity level of your potential ideal clients, and this isn't going to just be your typical client avatar exercise. This is Susie. She drives her Mercedes, and her family brings in this much a year, and she has 2.6 kids and a dog and a half, and she lives in this part of the country. We're gonna get into it at a deeper level, so you can start to incorporate some of these things into your marketing, and then we're going to talk about the ways that you can connect with those potential ideal clients from a marketing message level, so that they are getting to know you before they even meet you. That's what your marketing, that's what your online content should be doing for you. It should be doing most of the selling for you. Otherwise, it's all a big waste of time, in my opinion, considering the low organic engagement on Facebook and Instagram these days. And maybe you're into paid advertising, and that's great. But you need to have your messaging and your identities, your client avatars. They need to be all really dialed in if you're going to spend money on advertising, but if you're going to repeat yourself over and over ad nauseum about who you serve and how you serve them. So I want to invite you to that boot camp happening in a few weeks here. Again, pencil in the 23rd, 24th. Come next week's live stream. I'll have a waitlist page set up, a destination for you to go to learn more about that. I'd love to have you join me there. So I want to leave you with a quote this week all about repetition from one of the marketing greats, Zig Ziglar. Repetition is the mother of learning, the father of action, which makes it the architect of accomplishment. Now, I have only heard the first part of that quote before, but I found this just this week and doing a little research here. I think that's fantastic. That it's not just the thought behind everything, it's how you execute, and it's of course about the end results, right? Because if we are not in business making a profit, we are not truly in business, at least for very long. So if you haven't already, hop over to Apple Podcasts, leave me a review, 5 stars hopefully. Love to hear how you are liking the show. And any other questions, feel free to shoot me a DM, Facebook, LinkedIn, or Instagram at Jake Krakowski. And until next week, everyone, make it a great week because our success is inevitable. Take care. Thank you so much for tuning in. Don't forget to hit subscribe so you stay up to date with future episodes. Connect with me on Facebook, Instagram, or LinkedIn at Jake Krakowski. And for show notes and much more, visit profitecturebydesign.com/podcast.